TGIF Warriors. How's everyone doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you are in the globe. It's Friday. It's a wrap. It's a wrap day. Hope everyone had a good week. I know the team laid it all out on the floor like we do every week to give you an edge, add value to what you're trying to accomplish on your trading journey. Hello, Hammett. How's everyone's trading journey go this week? Detours, reach your destination? Still on the road? Okay. So you may look at this right now and say, no big deal. But you know what? This really has me excited and pumped for next week, because I do believe this was a dollar top and there's at least one more wave. I don't know what's happening with my charts, but anyway, enjoy the visuals. So I know Paulie had a number up around 98 or so we could still have some more left here in the Dixie. But the way I'm approaching it is in the Swiss, this will be red, yeah. Between here and say 99.40, 99.50 to build a position. So, oh yeah, maybe it's this thing. Anyway, everyone like the red Swiss? So my bigger picture, you can't really see it here, but on the week, you know, I agree with Greg. Greg came on yesterday and he was talking about 95-ish in the Swiss, and it might be the right instrument to trade as you want to avoid what's happening with Brexit and the euro. But you know what? A tip of the hat to Blake down here, you know, whether you did it or not. We were trading down here in its 85-80 level, and we're coming out, and it really was a nice trade. It was down here. And this was the Brexit vote being delayed. So we've had a nice rally. I don't think it's over. I think it's a natural spot would be 87.5. 88 was important support. And then Blake lit it up yesterday saying, be alert for a move in gold. It was this candle here. So if it gets through 1500, we could have some fireworks. So, you know, just pretty good. Is that? Oh, okay, Rick. So it's not my laptop or my mouse. Anyway, so it looks like there's a, I think this is a throwback to the 60s, Rick. You know, you get all the colors and...
Either that or you had too many magic mushrooms.
Huh? Did you have some on your eggs today?
Good morning, man.
Good morning, buddy. You know, they're finding out that they're using those. Actually, they're legal in Denver and I think Oakland now. But in a medical setting, they're using them for people to treat them for depression. So
okay, interesting.
I could try them also for people with terminal illnesses and end of life treatment. So, you know, there's a lot of fear and anxiety about going out, and these patients take these mushrooms, and, you know, most of them didn't live a life like, you know, me. And so it's a new experience for them, and they get a perspective that, you know, what we see in our consciousness right now is not all that there is. There's that unseen world, and it gives them peace to know that, you know, this isn't all there is. There is more to the world than what we witness in our normal, let's make 50 pips on this trade mode. So interesting you brought that up. So I had a good week still. How about you, bro? You have a good week?
It was okay. Yeah, it was okay. Silver's going up, so
Oh
I'm
yeah,
happy with that.
smoking.
Yeah.
Smoking. So, I think I was saying, well, what were the metals waiting for last week with the dollar decline? They certainly made up for it in the last couple days. So, I'm glad the dollar is having a reflex rally here because, if you miss the first move, the first wave, which was a nice wave, let's see what colors we get here. This was a very nice wave to catch, and we had people, our membership, ready for this with different instruments. But you know what? There's at least, I agree with Steve, who I saw is like at some dinosaur place today. But any rallies up here, I think sets it up for another wave to the downside. I actually think that we could see 94. If I showed this to Steve, he'd be saying, yeah, 70, 50. So there's going to be some nice trading opportunities next week if there's any more continued dollar strength. I like the euro right around maybe 10.5, but this is a pause week. It doesn't mean that it invalidated the breakout. It means that there's just enough seeds of doubt that it just didn't turn into this to keep the bears in it. But next time through, these highs still looks pretty good. And we're getting a correction in EG, but I'm thinking that, that's all this is. So perhaps we're going to have some type of failure if we're going to break down from here after maybe a little bit more, that the pound's going to be the big part of it. And if we're going to break down, that means that the pound's going to outperform. If we're going to continue lower after this bounce, the pound has problems. Or no, the pound is going to outperform the euro. So is next week the week or what, bro?
Well, it depends on what's going to happen. We're going to talk about it a bit later, but
Okay.
it depends on what's going to happen with the elections and with the extension. It's all a big mess at the moment. So we're going from one day to the next, really, until we get some.
So the 31st, which is Halloween here in the U.S., doesn't really mean anything anymore.
It's supposed to be the end date, and after that, the UK leaves the EU. But as we all know, there's a lot of stuff happening in the background, and an extension is being discussed, but also elections, and one side is waiting for the other. It's just a big mess. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a bit. But
mess. Be in the U.S. right now and turn on the news. You talk about a mess politically, and that's something. It's kind of like in trading, you'll see wedges appearing, and we're having the same type of political chaos, duplicating itself across the globe right now. It's kind of like even that's a trend.
Yeah.
So Blake, I'm interested in what Blake is thinking here in euro after the ECB, and if he's sitting there like King Midas counting all his gold coins from his
I am long some gold.
Your physical purchase.
Well, no. I got long yesterday a little bit of gold as I put in a pattern in play. So
cool, bro. Nice call.
Thanks. Gold looks bullish. So does silver. I mean, they both look really, really, really good here. We were talking about Brexit. I have an interesting chart I want to show you guys.
Go for it.
This is UK equity market ETF inflows, and take a look at this chart. What's happened this summer since September?
Yeah, so people were betting on this Brexit not happening.
Yeah, but I believe that we're going to see a big shift from U.S. equities into European equities. Brexit, I would think gets done. Overall, I think they're gonna figure out a solution. And yes, the 31st is coming up really like within days. Next Thursday, I believe. The issue is obviously the EU is waiting to find out what the UK is going to do, to find out if, how long of an extension they're going to give, whether it's going to be 30 days or to January. So we've got to hear what the UK government wants to do here. As a matter of fact, Stelios,
there is one little piece of the detail which confused me a lot, and I don't know how it's going to continue. But the problem is this: Boris Johnson has said he wants a snap election, but he needs 2/3 of a majority from the House of Commons to actually get that. And the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, said, "Look, we're not going to back an election until or before we get an extension from the EU." And the EU say, "We're not going to give an extension,
right.
Decide on it before you decide what you're going to do with the election." So what the hell happens now?
Right. It's like a Mexican standoff, right? Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's crazy, but we have to see, we have to see what I don't know what's going to happen.
I think neither side wants a no-deal Brexit. The Europeans definitely do not want a no-deal Brexit. So I think if somebody has to take a step back, it might be them, and just offer the extension anyway, and then see what happens. But I've said this many times. I could be proved wrong, but I think that the no-deal Brexit is really in nobody's interest, and both sides are going to try to avoid that for sure.
Right. So, as we march towards the 31st, which is like I said, next Thursday, I guess we're going to be in a little bit of limbo here. I actually think that the market's going to stay quiet. I was hoping we get some fireworks this week with the ECB, and the PMI numbers that came out, and the euro rallied yesterday to 111.50 and then slumped right after the ECB. Still, trying to make a flag pattern, if you will. I don't think the dollar is bullish as of right now. I still think it's bearish. And if you look at the dollar index, it's actually cleaner on the dollar index. We came and rejected the top of the, I'm waiting for my dollar index to load up here, the top of the flag, but also the big underside of this, big broken trend line of the ascending wedge, and we stalled right where it should. So as long as the dollar index, the DXY, stays below 97.80, I don't think it's bullish at this point. It's bearish. It looks, like I said, it looks cleaner on the dollar index than it does on the euro. But I don't think we're going to get a lot of movements until the Fed, which, the Fed is next Wednesday. The Fed is expected to cut rates. So we are expecting that, whether they, continue to lead us down the path of continuing to be dovish is to be seen. But, unfortunately, I think that the market is stuck until next Wednesday, unless we get some definitive news from the UK, which might move the needle a little bit. So that's kind of it. And it's Friday, and we're gonna probably just kind of meander into the weekend. I'm hoping we get some volatility, but I don't really think that that's going to be the case.
Where would you look to enter longs in euro?
Right
here still.
Well, I'm long here. My cost average is like 111.30, 111.35, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Do you have anything at 10.5, 10.60?
Yeah, well, 10.60 would be the trend line here, and then the 38% retracement is at 67.
All right.
Or excuse me, at 110.67. Yeah. So
like it there.
We might. I think if we get a dip down to the 110.80s. Low 80s. If you really want to be long the euro, that might be the place to do it down there. But as of right now, it's just
consolidating its gains.
It's consolidating its gains. It is, and it's
normal.
Holding up.
It's healthy.
Yeah, it is healthy. It is normal. It is holding up very well. If you're bullish, it's obviously we wish to see, and we'd hope to see more or better price action this week, but you know, it is consolidating. I guess you can note it as that.
Yeah, it gives people a chance that were skeptical at the lows to say, okay, now the evidence, if I assess it, has changed, and now we're getting maybe a continuation formation to get positioned for the next wave.
Right. So let me ask you guys a couple of things. First of all, Coach, do you have any interviews scheduled for
No.
today? Okay, you do not. Stelios. I know
Yes,
he's gonna be.
sir. I was looking for the mute button. Yeah.
Oh no problem. I was gonna say, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know there's a massive move in silver and precious metals. Anything that you want to talk about? You know, to wrap up that you wanted to get off your chest for today.
Yeah.
Before I let you go to talk about what you're going to talk about. What I'm going to do today, since it's Friday and it's a slow day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our bias chart, and I'm going to set up our bias chart like the old times. For those of you that are old Wise Trade Morning Edge listeners, I'm gonna do the old bias chart for you guys, and look at all the majors, look at all the major levels, and before the weekend. But I wanted to get Stelios's take on anything you wanted to. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Just a couple of things actually to mention. It's been pretty quiet, as you said before, but we did have a couple of things. One is the ECB. They cut their inflation forecasts, which is always it's something we need to follow, because let's not forget, inflation is a primary mandate that they are looking at. So they cut inflation for 2020 and 2021 by 0.1%. I think it's not a big cut, but still they're bringing everything lower. Remember, inflation is currently running at 0.8%, which is very low compared to the last few years, and it is trending lower as well. The ECB has been guiding, has been telling us that, look, we think this drop in inflation is going to be maybe persistent for a little bit, but then they expect inflation to pick up. So just remember that we're way below the 2% target. So it is justified, just like Draghi said actually yesterday. When was it yesterday? Or
yesterday. It was yesterday.
Yesterday, actually. Yeah. Draghi said that continued very loose monetary policy is still needed. And the man is right. So this is something that we need to keep an eye on. And the other thing I want to just briefly mention is U.S. and China. We all know we are in this stage where they're discussing some kind of a preliminary deal. The Chinese said the other day or 2 days ago, they're going to be buying agricultural products from the U.S. I think it was something like 20 billion or whatever it is. And they said yesterday that, or a few hours ago, that, look, we're going to do this, but in return, we need some of the tariffs or planned tariffs to be reversed or not to be implemented. So there's a little bit of a negotiation happening between the US and China. Well, not a little bit, I'm sure a lot, but things seem to be moving. That's what I take away from this situation. Things are moving in the same way that the UK and the EU are moving. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. They'll say, look, it's no deal. There's no way this is going to end positively. But what I can see, taking a few steps back, and from both sides and the US-China side as well, things are moving a little bit. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and we see what the next.
Well, that ought to bring the S&Ps to 3055.
I think new all-time highs. When that happens, or if that happens, I think new all-time highs
above.
Yeah. And then, it's going to be very dangerous, I think so. Because remember, we've been pricing this deal, US-China deal, for so long, and we've been creeping higher without it actually happening. So once it happens, I think it's probably going to be sell the news.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the case. And by the way, I wanted to mention Dale yesterday. Good call on the S&P, even though we didn't get a big swoon. We still got a decent, 10,
Yeah.
15
Well, you know what?
point
That was a
S&P drop.
15-minute chart, Blake. And when I'm taking signals off short-term charts, I lower my expectations. Sometimes I'll try and turn it into a swing or a position, but that's something for everyone to really grasp, that if you're taking trades off shorter term time frames, you shouldn't be looking for huge moves, right? Your huge moves come off larger time frames. So
Right.
yeah, anyway, yeah, it was fun for a while.
For
Thank
it
you.
was fun for like 30 minutes. Good for you.
That's fine.
And that's all we can get. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to take what the market's giving you, and we talk about that all the time when we're in the ForexAnalytix chat room. Here, guys, I'm gonna highlight you guys really quick before I start going through the majors.
Yeah, show the gang.
Yeah, this is the chat room where we're all in throughout the course of the day. This is a private chat. It's for ForexAnalytix subscribers. If you have the premium version of ForexAnalytix, we all just chat around and but we talk a lot about the market is obviously slow right now. You can see Nitish is Nitish, is that you? Is that what you look like? You put on a little bit of weight. Anyway, oh, that's Chi. Okay. Chi's put on a lot of weight then since I met him in person. Anyway, but I was going to say that we were talking about in the chat rooms all the time, just, you got to take what the market gives. There's a lot of 15, 10 pip scalps going on in the chat room. So, it is what it is, but things will shapen up hopefully here very soon, because myself, I look at the market and I just need some volatility, man. Just like you guys, I want some volatility. We're craving some, we need some, and it's been the type of market where you just you have to take these little gifts that the market gives you and run with it. Take your 10 or 15 pips or whatever it is, but we'll see some volatility come back, I'm sure. The one thing that I guess we will outline is that after this big run in the euro, this is a nice consolidation that we are seeing. So let's go through the majors, Dale, and feel free to jump in at any point when I'm going through.
Love that bias chart.
Yeah, I mean, the bias chart is something that I've done since the beginning of time, and Paulie does it now, so it's great because we get to see it in the chat room. He does the European crossover and puts it up so we can get a good glimpse of what he's seeing. And Paulie's, just so you guys know, Paul, SPZ Trader, he on Twitter, I've known him for years, and I met him through Twitter. And he is I know he's always lived off the markets, and for several years I watched him on Twitter, and I knew that this is the only thing that he did. And it's like, man, I want to bring people like that onto my team because I know he trades for a living, and so he's really good with his levels. He's very disciplined. He'd probably argue that. I think we all argue about oh man, it's such a disciplined trader. That everybody will say, well, I'm disciplined to a point. Because
when you're not, you get disciplined.
Yeah, exactly. You shapen up pretty quick when you do this for a living. So anyway, all you have to do is
unless you're into S&M, you have to learn to be disciplined.
So, but he does his bias chart every day, and that's it's great because I can sit back and go, okay, these are the levels that he's seeing, and but it's if you can do this on your own, it's important, if you have the time to do it. So let's take a look at the euro. So where is support in the euro? If we're flagging here, and by the way, my flag patterns have altered throughout the course of the week. It's been like this. Then we spiked yesterday with the ECB, so I had to readjust everything to more like this, and then going to the lows. So really, support now comes in at, let's just call it 110.85. And we could get as low as down here as 110, 75, so if you want to write 110.85, or you can say 75.85, just so both the levels are there. That's going to be pretty key support on dips. Okay, 75 is where the trend line is going to be. 85 is the 38% retracement. Oh, I'm sorry, that comes in around 67, which could be ultimately where we go to, but we have this trend line that comes in too. All right, resistance at this stage in the game, by the time we get here, would be 111.40. So 111.40 is resistance, and I still think it's a very bullish chart. It's a bull flag formation. I know you look at the ascending wedge and you go, well, Blake, it's back below the ascending wedge trend line. It is, but let's focus a little bit more on the dollar index, because the dollar is being influenced by not only the cable, but also the dollar yen. So that's one of the things that that's influencing the dollar index. It's not just all euro. So I have to take the euro chart a little bit with a grain of salt and just try to focus on maybe the smaller time frames and look at the formations that we're developing. So right now, that's going to be our support and resistance. And like I said, I think it's still bullish. While we're above this, this 38% retracement right here, I think we still got to be bullish, even if we get a dip down here like that, which could happen, obviously. All right, let's go over to the cable. So now the cable, big support at 128. We held it yesterday. You can see this big support zone that comes through here. Let's go over to the daily chart. This is a huge support zone. You got to go all the way back to February of this year, and you can see the zone how I drew it. All right, these lows right here. Okay, the high right here in June. See all those wicks and all the bodies. Notice how we stopped right through all of that. There's a high wick right there. So that outlines our support zone. I like to put in zones at times because technical analysis is not an exact science. If it was, we'd all be gazillionaires. You could say, well, it gets to here, we go long, and it gets here, we sell. But it's not. You have to see how currencies react around those levels. And I'll tell you, like right now, like the 38% retracement is pretty important for the cable. But what's even more important is how we reacted around that 38% retracement as we approached that support zone. And we found buyers. Buyers came swooping in. Now we're testing the 38% retracement, and what I would do is I'd give it all the way down to the 50% retracement, which would be probably near this flag low, which comes in around 127.70. You have to imagine that can be tested, and that's very possible. So I'll put in 127.70, and I think it's pretty significant support, actually. So I've been arguing, hey, as long as we're above 128, dips to 128 will be bought. You can read it in the basic technical analysis in the pound all week. All right, but we dipped basically just below 128. We found buyers. You can argue, well, it was also because of the news out of the UK yesterday. Yeah, but it's regardless. It's the way it reacted down there. Right now, it's hard for me to be really bullish the cable right now, despite the price action here yesterday. And by the way, I did buy the pound 3 times yesterday. I scalped the crap out of it, and I actually did pretty well. I've made like 10 pips here, 20 pips there, and then I made like another 10 pip gain. I had decent size on, so I actually made some pretty good money yesterday in the pound, which is good because it offset like my drawdown in the euro. As the euro has been grinding lower, it just offset that. So that was good for me. But I don't want to stick around in the pound long, because absent any definitive news why I should be long or short, I'm not going to stick around. If I see an opportunity, I'm going to take it, and then I'll just get out. Like we were just talking about, you kind of got to take what you can get from this market. And yesterday I jumped in the shower, it dipped down to like I had scalped it below 128. I picked it up when it was at 127.90, and I think I spun out of it at 90, or I spun out of it at above 128, 128.02 or 128.05 or something like that. And then it ripped, and then I bought it the dip at 22, right where it's at right now, and then I sold it at like 40 something or 50 something, and then I did it again, and then I just leave it alone. And I still think that while we're in this flag, you've got to buy dips if you can see them, extremes, and then sell rallies. Just take some profits when you get them. So in this case, we should see resistance really come into play at 129. So if there's anything that spikes up the cable, 129 should offer really good resistance. Do I think that the pound is still in a range? I think it's bullish. While we're above this broken trend line, it's bullish. And this is a very bullish move. We are working off overbought conditions. Let me get rid of that. So, over the next week, even if we dip down towards 127, 126.50, it's hard for me to be bearish. I might go neutral if we slump back below 128, but for right now, it's bullish. Okay. It's bullish near term. This is a very explosive. What's the phrase that Elliott wave guys like to use? Impulsive is a very, thank you, Stelios. It's a very impulsive move. So being that it's an impulsive move, this is just a simple consolidation and a very impulsive type of move. So I am very skeptical trying to fade it. And then, I kind of want to stay bullish while we're looking, while it's still up here at these prices. That doesn't mean it's going to stay bullish forever, and doesn't mean that it's completely altered the trend, but it's it sure does feel that way right now. All right, so here's the Aussie. So the Aussie yesterday, the Pence came out yesterday and he said we got the good cop, bad cop, and Pence seems like he's trying to play the good cop, where Trump would be the bad cop. Pence
with China, his speech
with
on
China, yeah, about China. He's he gave him, harassed him a little bit about religious rights, and but you would
he was nicer than the year before, the commentators were saying. Last year he was real mean. This time not as mean.
He doesn't seem like a mean dude, but he where Trump is very vocal and very
shy.
He's very shy. Pence is a little bit more diplomatic, I could say. Yeah. And so I think he played a little bit nicer, and that supported the Aussie near term. Now you can see this breakout point right here. All right, that comes in at 68.10. That dipped us right. We were in the teens yesterday when he was speaking. The Aussie bounced a little bit, but you can see we're in this. This could be a flag as well. You can't dismiss this setup that we're seeing here. Again, like we just talked about with the cable, very impulsive moves. We've seen a pullback. Does it mean that we're going to reverse higher? No, but I think that's the risk that we have at the moment.
That pink line was kind of like a breakout, wasn't it? If you go longer term,
I don't know if it's really
because I had a horizontal line around there. I don't know why.
It was 64, 68.20, which it was.
There, yeah.
It's been a big level all for a long time, close to it.
Yeah.
So I think you got to respect the fact that we're at, we're basically at a very pivotal area. So I'm going to write down 68.10 is being support. All right. Yeah. Now resistance is, I would say today's highs are close to today's highs, 68.40. If we get a move back above like the 68.40 level, something around here roughly, we might see, bullish, move in the Aussie. You can't rule that out. So it's sad when I have to write a bias chart with 30 pip ranges in the Aussie, but it is what it is. I will leave this range bound though. Do I think it's overall bullish? Not until we start making higher highs. You see the difference between like the cable here, where we made a higher high decisively.
Yeah.
Aussie, not so much, right? We haven't made a higher high, so I have to note it as being in a range for now. But I think there's bullish qualities setting up. Okay. Equities are coming off.
That's what I was going to ask if you heard anything. They're melting pretty good.
No, let's see.
Almost attacking yesterday's lows. Well, we're still
China, U.S. agree to keep yuan exchange rate stable as part of trade deal. Beijing confirms reports. SCMP. Trump's talking about just bringing some
troops into every major city and declaring martial law.
Yeah. Yes. Martial law.
Yeah. Marshall Dillon for martial law.
Nothing. The euro's bleeding. Well, euro's almost at lows on the session. That's not saying a whole lot because we've had 23 pip trading range, but euro's at lows of the session. I don't know why. It's just kind of
Blake. How long would you say if you don't do a lot of explaining, if you just fill out a bias chart every day, how many minutes would it
I
take
can bust
you to
one
do
out in
it?
10. I can bust one out in 10 minutes.
Okay, so if someone's just beginning, it may take them a little longer. If you guys can't spend 10 minutes a day doing this and being ready for the market, because your memory might be good, but you're going to miss things unless you go through this exercise. Don't you think, Blake? 10 minutes?
I think it's like a half an hour for most people. But for me, I can breeze through just because I look at the charts, 13, 15 hours a day.
You can't be lazy and be a good trader.
No, not at all.
So if people can't spend time to do something like this is a great mentoring tool. Just if you don't journal, at least do this.
Well, utilizing like ForexAnalytix, for example. I mean, we give you and by the way, the levels that you see here, many
That's true.
Are right here.
You already have a bias chart on.
This is basically a bias chart in essence.
Yeah.
But the thing about ForexAnalytix is it's a tool to help you cut some corners, but it's not save time. It's not an end all be all. You got to do the work yourself too, because it's important. You hear it, you see it, you say it. The whole learning process. It's the same thing with trading. It's like
NLP.
You can see it here. Yep. And you can see it here, and you kind of got to do it and see it for yourself too. So perform the analysis. But thanks, Coach. Let's just real quick. Let's notice the Kiwi. Probably some support here comes through around the 50%, but probably around the 63. I have it at 47, but I would say I would just write 63.50. It's probably going to offer some support, which isn't too far away. Be some support down here. Resistance. God, it's all the way up at 64, but I think it's more like this. $63.85. Is resistance. The euro's leaking here, just kind of bleeding lower. His stocks are actually moving lower. Man, equity markets are really feeling a little bit of pressure. A little Sunday fun day, or Friday fun day moves. Yeah,
better digging its heels here, but right here to 3,000. Otherwise, 29.92, 29.80 is pretty critical to me on a. If we close under there and take out this week's lows today, that would be pretty ugly.
It would be, yeah. Actually, you'll see it just in the ForexAnalytix analysis. If you go to the S&P, same same numbers really. Support at the 2980 level remains key, you know. And that's just, you hear it from Coach, you see it on ForexAnalytix, kind of confirms, like, you know, double confirms what we're seeing here. Okay. Kiwi, as far as bias goes, I like the Aussie. I think it's range bound. We have to get above the 64.50 resistance really to turn the tide higher in the Kiwi. All right, but it is range bound for now. All right, let's go over to the Canadian. Canadian's a little different story, and I know it was my chart of the day yesterday. Was the dollar Canadian, but I'm going to tell you guys, this is a scary chart if you're a dollar bull. One of the things I've always looked at the Canadian as kind of a lead indicator on, you know, intraday. Also, some of the longer term developments, if we start to see the dollar Canadian turn, it usually starts to make me question, you know, what I'm thinking as far as the dollar, or, you know, whether I'm bullish or bearish. If I see the dollar Canadian turn first, that's a little bit concerning. And the dollar bull case has really been hampered by this US dollar Canadian, which is already, you know, showing a lot of signs of weakness. And this, if you guys haven't seen it, this is a 12-year, this is a 12, no, not a 12-year, a trend line from 2012 all the way back from 2012, the lows. You'll see it pop up here. There we go. You know, from this low price in the summer of 2012, we're basically touching the trend line. You could argue that we're, you know, below. Wow. It depends on, yeah, it just kind of depends on, you know, what you know, what data feed you're using. But we're basically on that trend line. We're at the 127% extension of this move. And so my 2 cents is, if we close below 130.50, it's bearish. And so 130.50 is pretty key today. Okay, that's key. Now, resistance at this stage is going to be at 131.30, because that was the breakdown point. Now, we're looking at a daily chart. Intraday, though, I mean, we have to get back above 130.80, which, I mean, isn't really too far away. I get what I'd probably like to see is, I mean, you could write down 130.80, but, you know, which we could spike up because we're seeing some dollar strength. But even with the dollar strength that's coming through the market, we're seeing the euro drop to lows. You know, the dollar Canadian's gone nowhere. That's scary, right?
There's some divergence there, Blake.
Well, the big time. I mean, you got dollar strengthening against the euro, and the dollar Canadian's going zero, nowhere. That is scary if you're bullish the dollar Canadian. Extremely bullish, extremely concerning. Excuse me.
Boo.
So,
Boo.
Boo. Yes, Halloween.
You know.
Boo. So I guess what I'd really like to see is a move. You know, like I said, I can write down this.
It's a good number.
130.80, but more importantly is 131.30, and I'll put an asterisk there because I think that's more important. We're range bound right now, but we're threatening to go bearish. You know, like I said, it's a range, but let's just say, I'm just going to use this as an example, and let's just say I'm right here. If the euro, we just got this little sell-off intraday, right? For no reason, just the euro just started bleeding, and you know, people are like, oh, I won out by the end of the day, whatever. So the euro just started bleeding. Well, let's say the euro just, you know, says, oh, look, did I get everybody short, you know, through some of the support, got everybody out below the 111 level. You know, people picked it up last night, probably put in stops below 111. Well, let's just say they just got triggered, and then we head up to the rest of the day. Well, if the euro, let's just for argument's sake, let's say I'm right. Let's say the euro, you know, bounces back to its highs of the session by the end of the day. Where's that put the dollar Canadian? The dollar Canadian couldn't go up with dollar strength. So if the dollar starts to go down against some of these European currencies, you know, the dollar Canadian could actually, you know, break right through support. I mean, look, we can't even muster a rally here in the dollar Canadian. That in itself is scary to me, right? Okay, so anyway, dollar Canadian, it is a range, but threatening to go bearish. Very, very close to, you know, putting that on it, that designation. Let's go to dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss is another currency that's held up pretty well. Now, dollar Swiss just got a spike right into the highs from yesterday. Basically, it's acting inverse of the euro. Overall, like, I want to be bearish the dollar Swiss. I'm bullish the euro, but you know, the euro dollar, and I've got euro longs on, but I really want to be bearish the dollar Swiss. The Swiss franc as a safe haven currency, especially with gold moving higher, is kind of where I want to be. I want to be short dollar Swiss or long Swiss, you know. However, if you look at the daily chart in the dollar Swiss, this is really the big trend line that I'm most concerned with. It's pulling up. You know what? You know what I've learned with TradingView the last couple weeks I've been dealing with TradingView is I have to let the data load for the day, and once the data is loaded for the day on my charts, then from there the analysis is you know, or the charts pop up quicker. Like, for example, the dollar Swiss for me was slow uploading, but the next time I come to the dollar Swiss, like, I'll go to the euro, back over to the dollar Swiss. Where is it? I just lost it. The data comes up a lot faster because I've already loaded it previously. All right, so it's like every day it like recycles through the data. But anyway, I don't want to really be bearish until we get below this trend line, like bearish. I think we're more in a range. You know, here's a channel. We broke down through that channel last week. I think resistance at the 618 is probably going to be fairly significant at 99.36. Okay. Support. This is a previous support zone. We could probably drop that down a little bit to that, because you can see spike highs here, spike lows there, previous resistance or previous support acting as current resistance. It held on dips. So right now support is at 99.05 all the way down to 98.90. So I'll put 98.90. This is the bottom of that support zone. Okay, so that we'll focus on. Let's go over to the dollar yen. Dollar yen, you know, with stocks showing some signs of weakness, the dollar yen, I'm surprised hasn't moved lower yet. Yields are moving down. Stocks are breaking lower this morning, and I'm surprised the dollar yen hasn't even blinked an eye. So that means that the support here is going to be fairly significant for the day. It'll be at you know, 108.25, 108. Yeah, I'll just write 108.25. 108.25. And resistance, intraday we could write up here, you know, 110.75 or 108.75, but really the big resistance for the dollar yen is at 109, which is the 200-day moving average, and also this you know, 127% extension. I actually had orders all week to sell dollar yen if it got to 109, and I deleted them because they never, you know, got up there. I was just hoping we'd get up there, you know, sometime, and just didn't happen. So right now is 108.75, and then 109 is resistance, and that's going to be key. I mean, if we spiked up to 109, I'd be a seller. You know, if we did. All right, let's go over to the dollar index. Now, as you guys know, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, the dollar index is still in the bear flag pattern. Here it is. We're approaching the top of the flag once again. Here's the underside of the trend line. It comes in at 97.80, right? So that should be key. That's going to be a key resistance for the dollar index. Support, it doesn't come in until 97.40 basically, because that's the bottom of the flag. And if the dollar index, and actually I think the flag more looks like this or like this, but until we break this bottom of the flag, I can't be like super bearish. I'm bearish because we're below the descending wedge trend line, but like from an intraday perspective, I can't really be super bearish until we're back below 97.40. So if I write down bearish here, it's just I'm semi bearish. All right, let's take a look at the dollar Mexican peso. One of the things that's scary about the dollar Mex is it's not even catching a bid when stocks are down. And that's scary to me because now I think I truly believe this. If you see the dollar Mexican peso catch a bid, that to me is a very big warning for S&Ps because that means people are actually scared. So right now we're seeing this little sell-off in the S&P, but we're not seeing any movement in the peso, which means institutional players are not worried about this little blip that we're seeing in the stock market. That's just all it is a little pullback today. Now, if we see the dollar Mexican peso all of a sudden intraday spike above 1920, that would signal to me that that the market is actually very concerned about what we're currently seeing.
That's an interesting correlation, Blake, that I never heard of before until you started talking about it. What's the why behind it?
Well, first of all, if you remember like the early 2000s, the carry trade was sell yen, buy everything else. That was the carry trade, right?
Right, yeah.
Right now, the carry trade is buy pesos, sell everything else.
Well, okay, so it's become the funding currency?
It is totally the funding currency.
Okay,
why? Because Mexican interest rates are at, what, 8%, 8.25, 8%? I forget where they're at exactly.
Because of the differential.
That's huge. It's
huge.
It is. If I'm just looking to make 8% annually on my money, I'm going to buy pesos. And I'm going to sell everything else. Maybe 6% selling the dollar Mex, selling the Euro Mex, I make 8%. But if I want to park my money somewhere, that's where I'm going to do it, in the FX.
I see. Now, okay. So if the peso is weakening, it's people don't care about 8%. They just don't want to take risk.
Right. And so now if the stock market goes tits up, falls on its ass and it goes tits up, then you're going to see dramatic selling of pesos because
it's not return on capital, it's return of capital.
Yeah, return of capital and protect of capital. So if you see the dollar Mexican peso all of a sudden just start doing one of these, doing one of these intraday, you start seeing it just start spiking higher. Yeah, you got to look at the S&P and go, get me the hell out, because
there's a lot of divergence in that thing.
It's a lot, but just even though it's divergent doesn't mean that it can't resume.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's like that's the chart that I look at and go, okay, well, if I start to see a spike in the dollar Mexican peso, I know that the proverbial poop.
Thank you, Blake. I'm going to start following that. I mean, that's golden.
You should, especially if you trade the S&Ps.
Yeah, I never did. See what I mean, guys? So I've been doing this for 5 years, and you could still learn new things every day to make it better. Thanks, bro.
You're welcome. So Where's my, okay, there we go. 1906, I'm going to write down as key because there's just, we keep spiking down there and it's holding. But the reason why I'm going to write down that it's key is because I don't know what chart you guys are looking at, and I don't know what chart everybody else is looking at and what data feeds everybody's looking at. If you look at like this is Oanda, for example, you know, we're basically on the long-term trend line. You know, you look at FXCM, it might be a little off. You look at Bloomberg, we might be on it. You know, so you got to, you know, there's so many different FX data feeds because remember, guys, the FX market is a decentralized exchange. It's not a centralized exchange. There's, you know, that's why you can have off quotes. You can have quotes like, you know, my broker quoted 111. Well, my broker quoted 111.01. Well, it's because their pools of liquidity were a little different. You know, it's not one central exchange where everybody trades off of like the NASDAQ or the S&P. So, you know, when I look at the dollar Mexican peso, I know we're on support. You know, whether it's here, whether it's at 19, the figure flat, or is it 1915, I know we're on the number. So, and you know, dollar Mexican peso is volatile enough to where we can say we're on it or really close to being on it. So the reason why I write an asterisk down here is because it's important that these lows are holding, you know, and I could go all the way down to probably 19 on that. And we are in a range, but we're threatening to go bearish. It's in a range for now, and as long as we stay, I think as long as we stay above 19, frankly, it's range bound. But if we break below 19, that's going to be a bearish event for the peso. Okay. Let's go take a look at the Nordic currencies, and then Coach, can you comb through some of the questions and see if there's questions that I can answer really quick before we wrap it up for the week. Here's the U.S. dollar, Norwegian krona. You know, this damn thing is just, it's unbelievably strong. Weak Norway, and I've been absolutely floored about how weak the Norwegian krona is. And then you look at the Canadian dollar and you go, well, the Canadian dollar is so strong. Why is the Norwegian krona so weak? And I don't really have any good answers for you. You know, and I'm sure Stelios has no answers for you either, because he's a Norway bull, a NOK bull, and it's just, it's defying gravity. So as far as the US dollar Norwegian krona goes, or as far as the Norwegian krona goes, is, I don't know, gravity is taking a toll. Hell, I don't know, however you want to say it. But for right now, support is at 908.50. That's going to be support, good support right now, 9.0850. And really the resistance, the resistance is, you can see I haven't pulled up this chart in a while, so I can do something like this. I mean, if we broke 127% extension, that takes us all the way up to 937. Jeez Louise, Coach.
Yeah.
All right, resistance right now is at 921 currently. 921, and you know, we blow through that, and it's gonna blow out a few stops too. U.S. dollar, Swedish krona, similar story, not quite as bullish as the U.S. dollar, Norwegian krona, but still, it's holding up pretty well. Now with the Riksbank yesterday, you can see right through there, a little false breakdown below that, which is, you know, now probably the main culprit for the move higher. We're gonna have resistance right here, right where we hit as a high. So 968.50 for those of you that look to want to short. Like if you want to play the dollar on the short side, it's probably not a bad place to do it, frankly. Intraday,
yeah.
Selling the U.S. dollar, Swedish krona right here. I mean, it's good risk reward. I'm not going to do it. I got too much dollar short position on, but I'm just saying that, you know, I don't need to overexpose myself, but I'm just saying for those of you that don't, this is probably not a bad place to short it, just because you could put your stops right above here and say, well, I'm going to risk a little bit, and that, you know. When I talk about one last thing, and then I'll let me just finish this up, and I want to talk about one last thing. 96855, 9.6850, and then support is going to be down here at the top of that support zone, which comes in at 960. So and by the way, I have to write the U.S. dollar Norwegian krone. This thing's still bullish. It is. As much as I'd like to actually put that as bearish, it's not. It's bullish. Now, one of the questions that you may ask me is, when I'm looking at something like this, U.S. dollar Swedish krona, that looks like a good setup for a short. Your initial question to me might be, Blake, why don't you just short it then? I don't take everything that I see that looks attractive. I don't take every position. A lot of it has to do with, well, there's several different factors. Do I already have positions on that? And if I put on another position, is it going to really push the envelope of risk reward based on a side of the trade that I'm in? Like, for example, if I wanted to short the dollar Swiss or dollar Swedish krona, I'm not going to do it because I've already got euro dollar longs, which aren't working in my favor right now. So I don't want to just start adding on to more dollar shorts. Right now, if I would have had a good week too, my P&L was I've lost a little bit of money this week because my euro dollar has bled, even though I've made up some of that, but still I'm down for the week personally. So I don't want to add fuel to the fire either if I end up being wrong. So not only does my current positioning in trades affect what positions I'm going to take, but also how my week has gone. If I'm sitting on $50,000 in profits for the week, I might say I'll take a pop shot at that right now. Why not? It looks attractive enough from a risk reward standpoint. But like for right now, that's not the case. So therefore, I'm not taking the position. So there's things that factor into my reasoning why I don't take a trade, or and so. Even though I find things that look attractive, it doesn't mean that I'm going to take advantage of that. And I've actually tried to be, over the last couple of months, a little bit more selective about what I'm doing, because the market has been so choppy that if you're out there scalping a lot, you can get chewed up pretty easily. And I know that. So I've been trying to just more or less trade on a theme and hold that theme and trade that theme versus scalping everything that I see, because I could spend all day scalping the market up and down and sideways, but I don't think this is an environment to be doing it. So therefore, I've been trying to be more selective in my process of what I'm doing, which I mean I'm up for the month, so it's hasn't been a bad thing. It's just I also,
for me, Blake, I just have a hard time concentrating with more than 2 or 3 different instruments working for me. It's just me.
Sorry, I just yawned. I don't. I can trade multiple. If as long as I can count them all on one hand, then I can trade it. Usually, if I trade more than like 4 or 5 positions, then I start to get a little bit more. It's like, oh crap. I get it more scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for me,
everyone has their own
threshold.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, everybody has their own threshold. Correct. But for me, I'm really trying to more or less focus on 1 or 2 positions at a time now, and like I have like one theme position that like in I'm trading the dollar on the short side by being long the euro, and then if I need to scalp something, I see something like so attractive that I have to do it, I'll do it. But like the cable yesterday was a great example. But other than that, I'm trying to really avoid the price action because it's been so choppy, and I know that because it's been so choppy, I need to be cognizant of that and respectful of the fact that it has been. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. So before we wrap it up for the I was going to say for the month, but for the week. Do we have any questions that I need
If you
to
could
address?
just show the bias chart again, Shahab would like to see it. Okay,
Yep.
guys, you could take a screenshot here. There you go. And there was one question that I think I could answer. Someone
go ahead.
that's one of our members has a job that's interfering with him coming to face, so he could only watch the recording, and he wanted to know if YouTube was the only place or it would be available sooner. And I guess the answer is no. It's on our website, but that's posted the same time our YouTube page is posted, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And if you follow us via Twitter, you'll see us tweet that at the same time, which it's at Forex
He's a
Analytics.
subscriber jonesing because he can't watch Face Live now.
I understand, and so, but the good news is, if you can't watch it live, there's the European crossover. There's also the wrap video that Paulie does as well. So, and those are other ones that you can watch too.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah. So, I just want to say, guys, be really careful out there. It's a pretty challenging environment as far as finding the trends. Obviously, gold and silver are just plowing higher right now. I mean, they're just unbelievable. I mean, look at the gold market. If I was short gold, I tweeted that yesterday. I said if I was short gold, I'd be concerned, and that was yesterday at 1,500. I mean, gold.
That was a great call yesterday, Blake.
Thank you, man. But I look at gold.
Yeah.
Gold looks like it's going to 1,700, guys. I mean, 17. What do we have? 1,730. I mean,
as the next extension up there.
Yeah, this is what it looks like.
Oh, okay. Equal distance from the
1760.
Wow, could be there this spring. Looks like the end of
I mean, we could be the way things move at the summer. We could be there by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you factor in like, oh, how about some risk off? Oh, how about throw the China deal out the window? Oh, how about inflation starts to increase? Oh, how about
what's happening in Syria?
Yeah, how about Syria? How about Brexit? There's a lot of things that could add fuel to this fire. So
I tell you what, there's so many things bubbling on the oven right now, Blake. I've never seen so many in my career.
And that's saying a lot, guys. Coach has been around for 400 years since the beginning of dinosaur times.
What a great straight man I am, huh?
You walked right into it. I mean,
I'm a good. I'm like Ed McMahon. You're Johnny Carson.
All right, hey guys, if you've missed Steve this week, he took a couple of days off, well-needed days off. So he'll be back on, I think Tuesday, because Monday's a big Greek holiday.
Speed racer,
huh? Oh, speed race.
Yeah.
Guys, this is an insane driver. But I know I'll probably be here with you guys all day on Monday, like today, and then Steve will be back. So don't worry, he's gonna have his talking shoes on, I'm sure. So, Coach, I want to say thank you as always for a great week. You're always the best host out there, and hands down. And your views on the market are very respectable. You've been around the market literally for
400 years,
40 years, I would say, close to 40, 40 years, 40, 400. What's the difference? It's a long time. It's like 4 lifetimes. You were around since the baby boomers were babies. I mean, and hey,
well, you know what, Blake, this will say it all. I was a runner on the Merck floor, CME, when they were trading currency futures on chalkboards. They just opened the IMM. I ran orders out, and they would write the bid down with chalk.
I mean, you're the essence of ticker tape trader. It's great. Oh, by the way, I don't have my video thing set up, but you know what I got? I ordered a movie, and I got it. I think I bought it on Amazon used for like $4 or something. I bought the old movie, Rogue Trader. If you've never seen it,
Nick Leeson.
Yeah, it's the Nick Leeson movie, but it's Ewan McGregor plays Nick Leeson.
Right.
You guys should see it. It's called Rogue Trader. I bought it because You know, the young trader Jack, he was in here a week and a half ago, last week, like on Wednesday or Tuesday last week. He was sitting next to me while I was broadcasting. I didn't mention it to all you guys, but he was here, and you know, he comes and sits with me like once every few weeks, because he's in school again. So he just tried to, but he's a senior and he has like half days a lot. So he came in on a half day. They didn't have to be until like noon, and he came and sat with me, and we were, you know, just kind of catching up about the markets and what he's seeing and what's working, what's not working, that type of thing. And we were talking about movies, trading movies, and I'm like, you've never seen Rogue Trader? He's like, no. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy it. And so the next time you come over, you can take it home with you. So I just got it in the mail like yesterday. The movie's from like I want to say it's from 2000, maybe 2001, maybe. Hold on, I have the case here. Let's see. I don't have to pull it up on the. I can pull it up on the internet, which probably been easier than reaching for it. But let's see. It says on the back of my CD DVD cover. Oh crap! I can't even read this. I have to put on my readers. Coach, I wear readers. I've been wearing readers for years. I try not to admit that.
Like magnifiers.
Used product in 2001. This is the sticker. It says here.
Yeah, Nick was a big proponent of scaling in until oblivion, right?
Until he got, yeah. It's probably the what's the strategy where you just keep adding, martingale strategy, something like that?
Yeah. If it was a good buy then, it's got to be a good buy.
Yeah, it's goodbye house,
Even
goodbye car, goodbye wife. But you should really see this movie, guys. It's called Rogue Trader, and I think this is from, well, the sticker on the back here says used in 2001, so I don't know. It's around that. Looking at, oh, here, if I open this DVD, it says, I don't know, but it was one of Ewan McGregor's, one of his first real movies, and so it's a good movie. It's if you're a trader and you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It'll at least keep you go, oh my God, I'll never do that. Yeah. Considering the Queen lost money in that trade. All right, guys. Coach, thanks again. And what I was going to say, if you haven't visited Forest Park FX, you got to do so, because they're the guys that are going to be able to help you find a good broker, also help you get into ForexAnalytix through the reimbursement program, where your trading can help you get involved with our community, so you can be in the chat rooms with us. So it's Friday. This is a great day to contact them on Skype or via email. What were you going to say, Coach?
Hit them with the tagline, Blake.
ForexAnalytix is light years ahead of everybody else with the light program. Was that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hey, you do it right. Go with light. What?
Yeah.
No, you got to do the tag.
ForexAnalytix says, "Let there be light."
Let there be light.
And our tagline: "Don't just count
pips."
Yeah.
Oh.
Count your
hips.
Anyway,
whips.
Count. You know what? Just count on the fact that we'll be here next week to give you our all.
Yes, we will.
So everyone, have a great weekend. Blake, have a great weekend. It's going to be hotter here than Scottsdale this weekend.
Oh, wow. Well, not here. It's
Santa Ana winds.
We're in the 85. We're in the 80s now.
Woo-hoo. 97, hotter on the coast than
oh my God,
in the desert. Santa Ana winds. Yep. California's on fire.
Oh my gosh. Well, good luck to you. Hope you stay dry. I mean,
all right, guys.
Some wetness.
Yeah, I'll stay damp. I'll be damp this weekend. Everyone have a great weekend. We have a good lineup for you, and we'll see everyone on Monday. Blake, if you want to just turn it off.
Do I turn it off? How do I do that?
It's a little. You turn the switch on the TV.
I
free remote.
Share,
there
and then how do I do the
end meeting? At the bottom.
Oh, it's at the bottom.
Oh, here, I can do it.
No, I think you have to do it. I can only leave meeting.
Okay, I'm going to end it. So, guys, everyone have a great weekend. Blake, have a great weekend. Stel, see you Tuesday. Adios. Adios, my trading warrior brothers and sisters. See ya.
See ya.